Good evening, brewers. So I'm in the kitchen tonight because I'm going to be trying out a technique that I haven't actually done before, making a hop tea. I thought I'd do a little video on this just to show you the sort of process that I'm going to try out for it, and then hopefully if it goes well, it can be a kind of a tutorial for others who want to try this out. The reason that I'm giving it a go is basically because I made a bit of a cock up with my batch that I'm currently brewing at the moment. Well, I'm about to bottle it, but the batch that I brewed last, which was a Falconers Flight Pale Ale. I'd intended to add some flame out hops and steep those in the wort at the end of the boil, but basically did the steeping but without the hops in there, so that didn't work out too well, and obviously I had a lot of hops left over that hadn't gone in, so I added a little bit extra to the dry hop, but I'm also going to try using about an ounce of those hops to do a hop tea. The process that I'm going to use for that is basically going to be to steep those hops in the bottling sugar solution that I've boiled up. So I'm going to steep them in that hot solution for about 20-30 minutes, and then obviously add that solution to the bottling bucket as normal and see what happens there. So in a way it's kind of making up for that, or in theory should be making up for that missing hop steep that we had in the end. The volume of liquid that it's going to be in is much smaller. I know that the volume of liquid and also the sugar concentration in it will affect hop utilisation, but that hopefully is going to be more to do with whether IBUs are extracted from the hops and how much bitterness you end up with, rather than how much flavour or aroma can potentially be extracted from them. So what I'm hoping for is a sort of hop espresso thing that is going to add a lot of flavour from a small amount, a lot of flavour and aroma from a small amount of liquid in the bottling solution. Hopefully a lot of that will transfer over to the finished product. In theory it should be a good way of doing it. I've read a few threads that have talked about using this method where they've been very positive about the effect that it can have on the beer and the amount of hop character that you can get out of it. So it makes sense to me in terms of the hops not being exposed to longer boil times, and obviously oils and aromas being driven off at that stage, but also doing it bottling, they're not going through the fermentation process, so there's potentially less stuff going to be basically blown away by the fermentation and the yeast producing CO2 and so on. So we'll see, but first of all we've got to get this hop tea made, so I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. Currently on the hob I've got about a pint of water with my priming sugar in there boiling away, so I'm going to boil that for 10 minutes, and then when that's done I'm going to add it to this cafetiere, or French press as it's called on a lot of the American forums, and steep it in there for about 20-30 minutes, strain it out, and then add that to my bottling bucket. So yeah, let's give that a go and see what happens. Right, so there's my sugar solution. That's just off the boil now. I'm not going to bother working out what the temperature is of that and waiting for it to hit a certain point, because I think it's going to cool down pretty quickly anyway. So I'm just going to chuck the hops straight in there now. I've got about an ounce of Falconers Flight which are going in here. These are hop pellets, as you can see. So now we've got a nice murky hop soup going on there. So make sure we've got all of those out. Give that a quick stir with a spoon that I've just put through a flame to make sure it's reasonably sterile. Smelling pretty good, and then we'll just bung the filter on the top, and I'm going to leave that for 20 or 30 minutes. Look at all that green hoppy goodness. Just hope that the missus's coffee doesn't taste of hops now, but that's a price I'm willing to live with. Okay, so we've been steeping those hops in there for about half an hour now, and as you can see, a lot of it has settled out to the bottom there, so hopefully it should strain through alright. I'm a little bit concerned that the filter's just going to clog up with the hops, but as most of them are down the bottom anyway, should be able to get it through most of that liquid anyway. I've primed fairly heavy on this one, about 2.3 volumes, as I'm expecting to lose a bit of that solution, obviously in the hops at the bottom there as well, so hopefully I'll still get a decent amount of sugar going into the brew itself and carbonating up nicely. So let's have a go at straining that and see what happens. Certainly looks like we're going to be adding a little bit of murk to our brew doing this. Does seem to be pressing the hops down quite well. There we go, so that's all the way to the bottom. Yeah, it's quite cloudy, but hopefully diluted down into a full batch. That won't make too much of a difference. But it's got all of the large particles of hops out of the way, so we shall see. It's definitely got a very nice hoppy aroma to it, so I'm going to chuck that in the bottling bucket now. And here's the brew in the bottling bucket, about 14 litres worth. I lost a little bit to the dry hop and trub at the bottom of the FV. There's about a pint of liquid in this hop tea here. That's a little bit more than I would usually use for a priming solution, but I wanted a reasonable quantity of liquid for the hops to steep in, and that's just going to go in there, and then I'll bottle as usual. So I won't bore you with videoing the whole bottling process, but I'll chuck that in now and report back in a few weeks when it's carved up and ready to drink, hopefully. So we're a couple of days in the bottle now, and despite it going in pretty much as murky as it could, that is looking very, very clear already. So a bit surprised that it's dropped bright so quickly. There is looking like there's going to be quite a lot of sediment at the bottom, but it all seems to be falling out quite easily. Not sure if the kind of material that went in from the hop tea has aided that in some way, but just an update really on how that's getting on in the bottle, looking like it's going to be a nice clear end product in a couple of weeks. Okay, so the Falconer's Flight Pale Ale has been in the bottle for just 6 days now, but I couldn't resist giving it a little tester, and as it was looking so clear in the bottle, I thought I'd have to give it a quick go and see how it's coming along. So there is a little bit of carbonation there already, which is good. Nice hiss and a little bit of froth at the top of the bottle. Let's see how it pours. Okay, so as expected, it's not massively fizzy, but that's a decent level of carbonation for 6 days in. And what's really surprising me there is the clarity on that. That is pretty much crystal clear, certainly for a beer at this stage of conditioning. So well impressed with that. And to be honest, in terms of beers that I've made that have used US-05, that's cleared down a hell of a lot quicker than what they normally would. So is that anything to do with using a hop tea? I don't know, but it seems strange that it's cleared so quickly when actually at the point of bottling it looked even more murky because of the hop tea that I added to it. The aroma is awesome. Excuse me, there's just a fly trying to get into this beer. I want to keep that away. Yeah, big tropical fruits. Definitely can tell there's a lot of Simcoe in that blend of hops. Kind of getting the citra as well, so citrusy stuff going on. Let's have a little taste. Well, I've got to say that is pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. It's early days, but I think that is well on the way to being one of the best American pale ales that I've actually made. Yeah, that's really good. So I guess that's an endorsement for making hop tea. Obviously, the fact that I've never used these hops before and that I've not got anything to compare it to in terms of a batch that was made without putting hop tea in means this is purely anecdotal. There's no sort of conclusive evidence here to be had, but that has got a really good hop character, and considering I completely missed out the flame out hops, yes, it got a decent portion of hops as a dry hop, but I missed the flame out hops, did a hop tea instead, and that tastes as good, if not better, than any American pale that I've done where I have used a flame out addition. And it looks the business too, so nice bit of lacing there on the glass. Not much of a head yet because the carbonation is still a little bit low, but yeah, I'm happy with that. So hop teas, I'd definitely try that again. Maybe that'll be a useful thing for some of you guys to have a go at. Nice and simple technique, and possibly actually saves a little bit more of the hop character for the finished product. So go and give it a go. Alright, cheers. See you later, guys.
I'm the dude. So that's what you call me, you know? That or his dudeness or Duder or, you know, El Duderino.